Sivan, that's Tet Zayin Sivan, marks the Hilula of a really famous rabbi. His name was Rabbi Yaakov Nachmani Z'tl. Now he was born in English year 1871. He passed away on 6th of May in English year 1955, to be precise. That was a 16th of Sivan. He was the author of various different great Torah colossal works. He was a Kabbalist and a prominent rabbi in the city of Marrakesh in Morocco. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the famous rabbi's life. Now, his was famous Rab also, Rab Shlomo נחמני, and he was born in Marrakesh in Morocco. To be precise, it was a Hebrew year, Hey Tafresh Lamed Bet, around the time period of 1871, respectively. Now, there's a Masorah from the family that he had descended from great rabbis, including the famous Rif, also popularly known as Rabbi Yitzchak ben Yaakov al-Fassi, one of the famous rabbis in Jewish history, and the Ramban, who was also one of the great rabbis of Spain of his time, also popularly known as נחmani. And I believe also they can trace stems up from King David, that's David HaMelech, one of the great kings in Jewish history, which we learned about. Now, while he was young, he would learn Torah under the auspices of some of the great rabbis in Marrakesh. Among them happened to be the famous Rabbi David Shlush. He himself happened to be a Rosh Yeshiva and head of a congregation over there in Marrakesh, and really, really achieved, let's just say, a huge amount. Was one of the outstanding rabbis there. Also, another one of his rabbis was Hacham Eliezer Halevi, another Rosh Halevi. Hopefully, I believe we did actually speak about Rabbi Eliezer Halevi on a previous year. His Hilula happened to be actually on the 30th of Tishrei, if I'm not mistaken. Another one of his rabbis is David Esvisa, I believe, and Rabbi Mordechai Esboni. These were great rabbis of the highest caliber during that specific phase of time. And he would not waste any time, especially during the day. He was meticulous within regards to his moments of while he would study Torah. For example, in the afternoon, if there would be a break inside the yeshiva, he would not go back home. He would take his food and eat it over there and be concentrating on learning every single extra second. That's how precious we find that the Torah actually is, and not to waste a single minute. And he would bring bread with him for lunch, and much is said that what happened during that period. It's reported over he would actually meet Elijah the prophet. There was a revelation, I believe, of Elijah the prophet, I believe. So I haven't got a source actually for that, but that's what's reported over. Now, it's interesting. Later stage, it would have been, I think, around the time period of 1888. He would have been approximately at that stage in time, around 17 years of age. He would get married to Rina, Rabbanit Rina, she would become. And she came, I think, from the family of Robas, if I'm not mistaken. Now, very, very sadly, it's reported over here, reading the Wikipedia article, that 8 of their children will pass away at a young age, very sadly. This is what's reported over. I think this is actually taken from the Chacham Yomi website, which also gives biography, let's say, articles with regards to great rabbis, especially during the time period of their Hilula. That's what's stated over. So obviously very, very sad. Now 3 of them, I believe, would survive. Once again, this is also chronicled over. 3 of them would. And I believe, just to explore what his children's name were, I think it was Harab Levi Sadia, who would later on go on to become a great rabbi, a darshan, a dayan, if I'm not mistaken, and a Rosh Yeshiva of the Mukobalim, of the famous Kabbalists in his time. And he was the author of various different Torah colossal work. And we actually did a video on Rabbi Levi Sadia נחמני. That was one of his children, a very, very famous rabbi, for example. I think also among his children included, if I'm not mistaken, Gabriel and also Rivka. It was. Now, he would work in Parnassa. I believe he would be working in various different industries also. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was working as a goldsmith while he was studying Torah pretty much every extra second he had. The entire day was revolved, obviously, around intense Torah study over there, and would learn excellent amounts of Torah. I think when he reached the years of 50 years old, he would stop his work and would concentrate on learning Torah full time, or write various different books. He would, I Now, there's a Chavrat, a Zohar, let's just say foundation. He was a head of for many, many years. This was in Marrakesh. And that will deal with in regards to learnings, within regards to Sefer Zohar and Kabbalah. And I think there was a Tikkun Karet. It was maybe an order that was actually compiled within regards to that. Very, very important, and recommend everyone to actually look into that. Now, he passed away in English year 1955, to be precise, on the 16th of Sivan. It's chronicled over. And he was buried in Marrakesh. He was. Now, I think about after 50 years after he passed away on Tet Zayin Cheshvan in the year 2005, they would bring his bones up to Eretz Israel, and he was buried eventually in Har HaMenochot in Jerusalem. And very much is said within regards to that, what's written on his stone. He wrote Torah, colossal work, and I think it will come out partly during the time when he was alive, partly the time after he passed away. I think among it was Et Vash, which is Perushim on the Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketuvim, on the Tanakh, specifically, the Beit Yaakov, which is various different drashot, the Ruach Yaakov, once again on drashot, the Lekach Yaakov, which is built on Masechet of Shas, around the encompassment of the Talmud Bavli, the Tov Ta'am, which is on the Code of Jewish Law, especially on the Orach Chaim, and the Ma'ayan Ganim, which is Chiber, on the Ma'amah of Petach Eliyahu, which I recommend everyone to look into. Now, he was a great rabbi of his time, as we stated before. Another place says he passed away maybe in the year 1954, but he was about 83-ish, 84, 85 years of age at the time he passed away. Now, we stated his rabbis were great people, including Rabbi Eliezer Halevi, Rabbi Switzer, and Rabbi Mordechai Esmoni. Now, among his students, as I said before, was Rav Sadia נחמני, now the great rabbi who will become, and Rabbi Yehuda Leon Ashkenazi, who was an educator, I believe, in his time, and was a famous man in Israel when he had his moment. He lived at a time period where there was other great rabbis, including Rabbi Yaakov Chazut, Rabbi Yaakov Dahan, another great rabbi I believe we mentioned about on various occasions before. He was in his vicinity. Rav Adahan was a Dayan, a Rosh Yeshiva in Marrakesh, I think for an important period of time. Another one of his contemporaries, let's say, was Abram Abit Bol, another great rabbi of Marrakesh, Rosh Yeshiva at Darshan there, and I think he had his own kehila, his own Torah congregation, respectively, inside that specific area. I believe he was actually alive, Rabbi Abraham Abitbol, between the years 1875 to 1945. He passed away at around the time period of the finishing of the Holocaust, respectively. Now, friends, we're a community here. We're learning about the great rabbis of yesteryear. If you descend from any of the great chachamim we are speaking about, please send me an email now. I'd really appreciate it. If you like these videos, please share the videos to other people also. If you haven't subscribed yet, friends, please subscribe. I think we're edging on to 7,000 subscribers. Let's try and get to Rosh Chodesh Tammuz with a 7,000 subscriber and grow and grow. Wishing you all a fantastic day. Take care and have a great day, friends.